Hello, so I've got about 6 pounds of Laguna Soldate 60 clay here, and the idea is for those of you who are used to throwing 1 or 2 pounds of clay, just give you some ideas of how to manipulate 6 pounds efficiently and to pull it and to expand it into a nice size vase. So let's start by, before you get your hands wet, just patting the clay kind of in the center. Okay. And I find that throwing larger amounts of clay is easier if the wheel is spinning a little slower, so the clay has some time to move when you're pushing on it. So I'm going to try to get the bottom centered. Work your way up. And I'm going to comb this up and down a couple of times to get it nice and ready to throw. I think things we try to work on is minimizing the amount of water you put on the clay and minimizing the amount of pulls that you have to do to get the cylinder the size you want, so that you can not put as much water into it. If you're making a vase and trying to make a shoulder, that water weakens the clay and makes it really hard to keep it from collapsing. So we're going to try to show some efficient strategies for opening the clay up and for pulling it. Bend it over, supporting it with my right hand and pushing down with my left. If you're working with a large amount of clay, you're going to be extra careful to try to keep it centered. Get it centered. Start out with a centered piece and then correct the lip every chance you get. Keep all those little imperfections under control early on. Alright, so I'm going to be trying to pull this clay up tall, so I can get halfway there by just opening the clay tall. Instead of pushing it all the way down and trying to pull it all back up, we can just open it tall. You can do that by opening it in 2 stages. I'll put my thumb down in there as far as I can reach and push down a little bit further, and as you push down, the hole will open up and it releases a vacuum on your thumb and you can take it out. But then if you reach down there and just pinch that clay and pull it up, you can open up the top portion. I'll try to correct the top again. So that makes an opening that's big enough to put my hand in there so I can push down. Try to get down to about ½ an inch from the wheel head. And then I'm just going to take my finger and pull in and just flatten out the bottom, and then I can just take the clay that I've kind of got curled in my hand now and just pull it up. So now I've basically got a cylinder that's opened up all the way down. I haven't even really thrown yet, I haven't really pulled yet. I'm going to take this stowing rib and just compress the bottom nicely. Get kind of a sharp edge on the inside of that cylinder. Try to prevent some S-cracks. Okay. So I'm about that thick on the bottom. That's a lot of clay to try to pull. So if you just use the heel of your hand and your fingers and just kind of squeeze that clay, just kind of go slow and squeeze it and bring it up right as you're squeezing it. You got a lot of clay to work with. You can use the meaty part of your hand instead of trying to use your fingertips where you may not be strong enough to do that. Let's color it in. Okay, so now I've probably got, about an inch or so. Let's color it a little bit. Got a little wobble. We'll see if we can work out some of this wobble on the top while we still have plenty of stability. Okay, for this next row I'm going to take my hand and put it into a little cup shape, a little V shape, and the inside hand is going to push into that V right here. I'm not pushing against my fingertips. My inside hand is above the fingers of my outside hand. And I'm going to make just a bend in the clay and just pull that bend up. So let's see how it works. Dig down there, and from the inside I'm going to push out. So I've made this bend in the clay. So let's go ahead and pull that whole big piece of clay up. You have to go slow. You're trying to move a lot of clay, so just take it easy, go slow. So I'm pulling up on the inside of that bend, the top side of the bend on the inside, and then pushing up from the bottom on my right hand on the outside. So now I've let my right hand catch up with my left hand, and just my fingers are opposite, just finish at the top like that. Okay, it's a real efficient way of moving a lot of clay off the bottom. Let's keep this colored in. All right, let's try another pull. Form a nice, grab a lot of clay here. It's hanging up on my arm at the top. My arm's a little dry, so it's hanging up on the top of the lip of the cylinder. Okay, let my fingers catch up. Just dwell here on the top here for a second. Kind of going a little fast. All right. Let's color one more time. So I've had one lift with my heel and two lifts pulling a curve up it. And I'd like for that to be all. I think there's a little more clay down here, so I'm going to do just a half a lift. Just pull some of the clay off the bottom and bring it to sort of the middle of the cylinder. So this clay is already pretty wet, so I sure don't want to add any more water than I have to. I really ought to put some water on my arms so it slips a little easier. Okay. So let's clean out this bottom. So I'm really not going to use any more water, or very little. Take my rib and clean up the bottom a little bit, and just go up and push the inside of the cylinder to this rib. You kind of even out all the bumps, all the doughy ridges. And then also I'm scraping off all the wet, slurry clay on the outsides so I can start compressing and drying off this clay so it's easier to work with when you're trying to bend it over. All right. Alright, on the inside I'm going to use this little plastic rib that's made out of a hotel key card. I like these because I can bend them, it's the right flexibility, I can bend it to a shape, but it doesn't have any sharp edges like a metal rib to catch and cut into your clay. So first off, I'm just going to take this down and put a nice sharp edge on the bottom of the cylinder and bring it up and just kind of start scraping off all of that wet clay. Start drying out my cylinder a little bit so that it gets a little stronger and hold up to the shaping process. Try to correct this, it's a little bit off. Correct it now because it's going to be real unstable later. Okay, so I'm just going to take the curved part of this rib. I'm going to support the top of the cylinder. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to work with my right hand inside. Take the top of the cylinder and push it this way, and take the rib and push it that way. Go back down. Okay. So every time I expand this cylinder with this rib, I'm taking off some of this wet clay. And so it's getting drier and stronger after each pass. Take this throwing stick one more time and just clean up the bottom just a little bit. just a bit. It's getting pretty close to the shape I want. I think I can make the shoulder come out just a little bit more. So I've got the holes in these ribs. It helps you grip onto this rib. Your hand's all slippery. It's easy to lose the rib and it gets stuck on the inside of the pot if you don't have something to hold on to. Alright, let's try to get a nice aesthetic shape. Okay. Now we can kind of work on the lip here. This is what I'm talking about, where I'm trying to bend this clay over. And if it's all dry and if it's all wet and soggy, you're going to have a hard time. So it's much easier if you're drying this thing out. You could use a heat gun, but you don't really need it. If you just start drying out the clay as you're throwing it, there's enough strength to finish it up. Okay. Let's bring this in. Smaller neck. So I'm just supporting this area of the clay with my inside hand so that I can push on it. It's effectively collaring it with just one hand, but I'm just giving a little support. So every time you collar a piece of clay in, it gets thicker. And so you don't want to just let it be thick. You can take it and pull it up and regain some of that height. So let's just pull this lip a little bit. Okay. And pretty soon I'm not going to be able to get down inside there to fix anything, so now's the time to shape it the way I want it. I'm going to lose access to it in just a second. So I'm taking my rib and just shaping it a little bit and cleaning off some of the wet clay. Last chance to do that. There we go. Push up into the rib to get the shape I want. All right, let's color it just a little bit more. Pull again. Color one more time. All right, so I'm going to have to take my needle tool and clean up this neck a little bit. So I'm going to turn this neck down and make a little flange, making the male form of this classic kind of shape. thing. I'm going to try to shape this bottom just a little bit. A little bit extra clay I can get rid of now. And refine the shape that I'm looking for. Let's just take a rib and kind of smooth out some of that clay. All right. That's about it. Hope you enjoyed it.